Hello, Cinemassacre fans, horror fans, and Dracula fans. This is James Rolfe.
And this is Mike Matei, and we're doing a Dracula commentary.
Yeah, this is one of our favorite horror films, so we figured we'll just talk about it all the way through. Basically, this is like, you gotta own the DVD. This will probably work on if you have the VHS tape, the Laserdisc, whatever.
I guess we should say we're watching the Universal Legacy version.
Yeah, it's the DVD Legacy version, the Legacy Collection. But I don't think it matters much because I believe that every Dracula version is the same, pretty much. So, but the reason we're doing this is because Dracula is such a famous movie, but I feel like it might kind of be lost on younger generations. And I feel like it is a flawed movie. It's definitely not perfect by any means.
That is true.
But there are a lot of funny parts, but there's also a lot of really like chilling parts. It's a very chilling movie, and I feel that I hope this video or not. Well, it's not a video, just audio. But
yeah, just audio. Riff track.
Yeah, we're sitting down. We're going to be watching the movie with you. I feel like this could help more people to get into the movie and hopefully experience it.
Well, I think the first time I saw this movie, the problem is that it's a very slow movie.
It was one of the first. It's actually probably the oldest surviving sound horror movie.
Yeah, and it's like because it's coming right off of the silent era, and it's one of the first.
Very little music.
Yeah, very little music because it's coming off of the silent era, so it's kind of
very quiet.
Yeah, very quiet, but it gives it a lot of atmosphere, and I think that's one of the things that makes it creepy. Is that the fact that there's so much silence in it.
Yeah, it really is a creepy movie if you're in the right mindset for it. And we're not going to help with that too much. I think you'll have to be on your own and watch it without us sometime. But I feel like now's a good time to just start the movie, and we'll talk about it as we go through. If you're familiar with riff tracks, then you already know what to do. But here's how it's going to work. Basically, in a moment, really soon, I'm going to ask you to pause this audio track, and then as soon as you see Dracula on the screen, the word Dracula, as soon as you see the title, then unpause this track. All right, so ready? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, pause, like that. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, pause. And there it is.
Dracula.
I love that bat in the background.
Yeah, it reminds me of it reminds me of Batman or something.
Yeah, I like the Swan Lake music. That is in the background.
It's classic.
They use it again in The Mummy, and
they use it in the Tim Burton Ed Wood.
That's right. Yeah.
When they show Bela Lugosi in his coffin.
Well. They used it very well in that movie. It was literally Swan Lake was Lugosi's swan song.
Yeah, that's like Bela Lugosi's theme song. I think of it.
Todd Browning was the director, who also directed Mark of the Vampire with Lugosi.
You see the maid right there, Joan Standing. We're gonna mention her again later on. I just want to point that out.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of people feel that Karl Freund was more of the director on this film because they said Todd Browning's presence on the set wasn't as strong. Karl Freund was the camera operator, and he was known for doing a lot of moving camera action that hadn't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just so you know, we're not doing this off of script or anything. We have some notes, but we're just going to go as we go. There's a lot of great scenery in this movie, and a lot of that is all glass paintings.
That's a fake like matte painting, glass painting, something like that. And I think isn't that Carl LeMay's I don't know, LeMay's daughter.
Lemley, yeah.
Lemley's daughter. And there's Renfield.
Yeah, it's interesting because in this movie, in the book it's Jonathan Harker, but they changed him to Renfield in this movie.
That's right. A lot of his part is played pretty much by Jonathan Harker is in this movie.
Yeah, that's weird.
But most of the stuff that's supposed to happen to Jonathan Harker happens to Renfield.
I felt that always kind of made more sense because Renfield is always Dracula's like assistant, his like slave or whatever, and I feel like it kind of made sense that when Renfield went to the castle himself, Dracula did something to him to put him under his power.
Yeah, I like the way that works out better actually.
Yeah. I always feel like this here is the Bates Motel, or like this was where it was, because it's that same kind of composition. You got that hill where the house sat.
The house would be up there where that cross is, maybe.
Yeah, and on the right, like this little inn. Like I feel like that's where the Bates Motel, because this is a Universal backlot. It's got to be. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wonder if they used the same spot.
In when this movie was made, Bela Lugosi actually only made $500
Oh
a
yeah,
week for 10 weeks when he made this, which was $5,000 total is the amount of money he made for doing this movie, which is crazy to think that's all he made and he was the star of the
yeah.
movie.
They never raised his pay really. Like Universal kind of gave him the shaft. On this guy, I love this guy with the mustache here. And what is that he's got in his hand?
It looks like a crack pipe
Yeah.
or something.
The first time I ever heard somebody make fun of this guy was in the Mel Brooks movie Dracula Dead and Loving It,
Yeah.
which wasn't a very good movie, but it was funny to see them spoof some of the things that happened. I mean, listen to this guy.
Yeah, he is like a real bad actor. He's like Count Dracula, the castle.
Here he
I
goes.
mean, yeah, right here.
Yeah, I mean he's just like.
He's been smoking too much out of that crack pipe, I think.
Yeah.
Is the problem.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of very hokey acting in this movie, but Lugosi
This actor, by the way, he was also in another Todd Browning film, Freaks.
ah.
Oh my god, and that mustache is so fake too. By the way.
Yeah, it's great that it kind of like everybody is so loony in this movie, especially Renfield and Dracula.
This
It
guy's
kind of
a
like
loon,
goes
yeah.
like a lot of the people are like stiffs.
Who's that
like,
guy right there?
I don't know.
Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, like later on you have like Dr. Seward and everybody, and they're all kind of like stiffs. But Lugosi's kind of going around just like being the coolest guy in the whole movie, and it just
Yeah, and in a way,
you
he
know.
is kind of like the most. Well, I wouldn't say sane, but compared to some of these other people.
Even though there is a lot of silence in this movie, there's a score by Philip Glass, which is on the DVD as like an alternate track. And I think it was cool that they did that as an experiment, but I think the original movie without the soundtrack works a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot creepier.
Is that a still frame right there?
Yeah, I've always thought that was weird.
I wonder how they did still frames back there.
Yeah, like, this is weird to think about. Oh, and pretty soon things are going to get real creepy now.
Oh, we're gonna go up to the castle soon. And by the way, Dracula's castle, in case anybody doesn't know, is a real place. You can actually go to, Vlad Tepes.
Glassbank,
Yeah.
Tepish or whatever. There's actually two real Dracula castles. There's one that was the one that Bram Stoker based the novel off of, and that's also used as like a gift shop, and I guess they encourage people to go and visit. But then there's another castle, which was literally a castle that Vlad Tepes actually like had.
Now this shot you see right here, this is one of those Carl Freund shots, and he also worked on Metropolis, I believe, and you see sometimes the Spanish version of this often gets credited for a lot of the tracking shots and interesting camera angles. But this, as you just saw,
Spanish one's superior.
Yeah, the Spanish one technically is, but this movie does have shots like that. It has a lot of like tracking shots and stuff.
And
So
there we have
here's
him.
another one. There he is, Bela Lugosi.
I love that set, that whole composition right there. The way his face is just glowing. I mean, it's just a beautiful film to look at.
Very gothic.
And I think it is just to say that a lot of people feel that the beginning of the movie is the strongest, and it
There's
goes
supposed to be
downhill.
blood coming off the side of that.
Yeah, I don't know, to tell you the truth. The movie kind of goes downhill after the Transylvania scenes.
Mm.
In a way, that's true, but I feel like the rest is good as well. Of course, this is Dracula being the coachman or whatever.
Right. I never got that at first. I never really understood what the heck happened there. And actually, the first time I saw this, I didn't even realize that was Lugosi. But then when I saw it again later, I was like, "Oh my god! Like, why is
he
he
not
the coach?" You know,
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense to me. It was very strange.
Yeah. I always felt that Renfield maybe did recognize him because the way he looks at Dracula later on when he's in the castle is kind of like
a
"Didn't
double
I
take.
see you?" Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that they did acknowledge it, but it's very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But it is funny also to think that he's like Clark Kent almost when he puts on the glasses and he's not being Superman. It's like, oh, like who are you? I don't like right now I'm gonna take off my glasses. It's like,
Right.
oh, who am I? Who am I?
Well, this is kind of like He-Man or Superman or something like that. It's kind of like they're like characters that you look at like Superman and or Clark Kent, and like how does like Lois Lane, how can she not tell that that's Superman? Like that's how I feel about this. How can he not know that that's Dracula? Because he doesn't even have like a mask on or anything.
Yeah, also
it's just his face.
Yeah, there's dark and there's fog.
Very atmospheric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in Nosferatu, he like
Ortigo Pass
covers up his face.
Here is the shot of them approaching the castle, and the upper half of it is painted on a glass. The lower part of it is actually a real road, and that lower part, that part of it that is real, is actually the Vasquez Rocks in Los Angeles, and that was in like a million different movies. It's in Star Trek when Captain Kirk fights the Gorn. Yeah. That's actually the same place.
Doesn't he also fight Finnegan there?
Yeah, Finnegan. Yeah, he fights Finnegan there. So that same place Kirk fought the Gorn is also in Dracula. A little bit awesome. Of trivia.
Yeah, that must be a great spot. That rock.
Yeah, a lot of famous things. Outer Limits episode I think was shot there too.
Yeah, this is one of the creepy moments of the film. It's just so silent. That door, like, listen. Yeah, it's so creepy. You know what I always thought was interesting was that about Vlad Tepes, one thing, like, Stoker already had Dracula outlined before he based it off of Vlad Tepes, so he used him as like a backdrop. But I saw on a documentary on the History Channel that supposedly someone excavated Vlad Tepes' tomb in 1931, and supposedly they found an empty grave at like no bodily remains. I don't know why it was 1931. Like, I never heard it mentioned along with the movie. Like, was it because of the movie they excavated it, or I'd like to know more about that. Yeah, those bats are great. Oh, this is stage 12, I believe, at Universal. I could be wrong if I remember, because on the back
there's the armadillo.
The armadillo, yeah.
I love that. I wonder what they got paid.
Yeah, supposedly they thought rats were too dirty, so
That's
you
right.
only see them in the Spanish one.
Right. They couldn't show rats in the American version.
Yeah. And here's our first line from Dracula. There he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually the same stage, I think, where they filmed the Riddler's lair in Batman Forever.
Really?
And like lots. I mean, it's probably crazy how many movies they actually filmed on that same spot. But that's what they said on the backlot tour at Universal.
And this is a good part to mention that where we're talking about the Spanish version being superior. In this version, like, you see that it's very like a static shot of Lugosi just standing on the stairs. But in the Spanish version, there's like the shot where it tracks up to him, and that's where you can really, probably more than anything else, tell that the Spanish version, just has, so much more of a, better production.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like, it's so cool if you're used to the English version and then you go and see the Spanish version. And the Spanish version, in case anybody doesn't know, it's a completely different movie, but it uses a whole Spanish cast, and they use the same sets, same script, everything, but it's like a different, it's the same movie, but a different movie.
Yeah, I would say I prefer this version because it has Lugosi, but actually, basically, to make a long story short, I like both versions. The Spanish version is great for its own reasons, and this is great for its own reasons. But I would pick this one because it has Lugosi. He's just one of the most classic characters in cinema history. So, but the Spanish version is great. The Carlos Villarreal is like hilarious as Dracula. Some of the expressions he makes are just crazy.
Carlos Villarreal or whatever.
I always wonder how Dracula steps through the cobweb there. Obviously, they just like cut to another shot or whatever. But I guess if it was like a modern day like version, that would probably be all like CG. They'd like CG the webs or something.
Yeah,
but
it's cool that you don't see it. Yeah, it's like you just imagine that it happened. Now, you know what's interesting is like there were earlier Dracula films than this. Like, obviously, a lot of people know that there was the 1922 Nosferatu.
Right.
But before that, not very often, but a lot of people, like some people, acknowledge that there was a 1921 Hungarian film.
Really?
And It's just called The Death of Dracula. And then there's only one source that I know of. There's a 1920 Russian film, apparently, and it was just called Dracula. And the only time I've ever heard it mentioned was in the vampire book, the Encyclopedia of the Undead by J. Gordon Melton. In that, he just listed as Dracula, but he also lists the 1921 Hungarian version as Dracula.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's the only place I heard of it, so I almost wonder if it doesn't exist.
Maybe it's like a lost film.
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
definitely lost. Like the first two Draculas, if that one exists, are lost.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nosferatu, the third one, was apparently, like for a long time, people thought it was lost, and that was the one made in Germany by F.W. Murnau.
Right.
And so technically, that would make this the fourth Dracula. Although it's very easy to.
This is Dracula 4.
Yeah, it's like usually you'd say this is the original
Lundgren?
Dracula.
He's talking about the wine.
Yeah. Excellent, that line.
Excellent, yeah. Well, that's like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, it probably came off of that.
Yeah,
Excellent.
you think so?
Or maybe. I know that Paul Williams from The Phantom of the Paradise, which is another Brian De Palma movie from the 70s. It's another horror movie. It's kind of like Phantom of the Opera. Also says excellent. So those are two examples from The Simpsons and that. Of people that have used that, and a million other things like Megatron says it, a million times in Transformers.
Yeah.
Any evil villain basically says excellent. Probably came from this.
This is such a brilliant scene here because it's just so awkward. It's like, I mean, Renfield is like alone in the castle with this guy, and he's being a total nutcase. He's like staring at him, and like this line here.
Like, imagine if somebody spoke that way to your face, You'd be like, oh my god, this guy's a freak,
And you see it in his face.
That's exactly the expression he's making. Like, oh my god, like, what have I gotten myself into here?
Oh, and this is, some people do bring up a continuity issue with the bed here, where, like, Dracula makes the bed really fast, but my take on that is he's Dracula, he does anything.
Yeah, well, like, earlier, I think you see, like, the door open and shut by itself. Well, if Dracula can make the door, like, open and shut by itself, he can obviously make the bed sheet go up and down, like, with his mental powers or whatever.
Yeah.
Dracula can do anything. He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, pretty soon he's gonna stare at him again.
A lot of creepy stares in this movie.
There he goes.
There, that's great. If you ever see this movie in the theater, I don't know if you ever get a chance to, like, if they play it in the theater.
Twice I've seen it in the theater, actually.
People laugh out loud when parts like that come on.
Yeah.
And that's like, this movie is, like, does have its creepy moments, but, it definitely also has funny parts like that, especially whenever they get close up on Lugosi's eyes and whatever.
Yeah, we had we were fortunate to see it in 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, he just said the famous wine line.
I never drink wine.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So, in Mel Brooks' Dracula Dead and Loving It, he goes like, oh, what the hell, I'll have it anyway. But that was something that wasn't in the novel. That was something added for the movie, which was also in the play. I mean, Lugosi played Dracula on stage,
right.
like 1,000 times. Like, so he was used to playing Dracula all the time.
I think that has a lot to do with why a lot of the acting is the way it is. A lot of people say that, he's a bit of a ham in this movie and this and that, and say things about his Lugosi's acting in this movie. But, he came this is right off of the silent era, and he had done this, like, on stage. And the way people act on stage is often quite a bit different than how they act.
Which hurts some of the other performances, but Lugosi, I think, is what is a unique performance. It's just that I couldn't see it any other way.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's like a lot of the people in it are acting much more for the stage than they are for, film. But Lugosi, he says he went into a trance, or at least in Ed Wood, he goes,
right.
when I do Dracula, I put myself into a trance, and it takes me a long time to come out of.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I heard something about on behind stage. I forget exactly what the story was, but he'd be behind stage, and somebody would come up to him, and he would just be like, "I'm Dracula," or something like that.
Yeah. And what do you think is up with this scene here? Because all the women are coming toward him, and then Dracula like shoos him away because he's like, get away from him. It's like he's mine.
Well, yeah, he wants to suck his blood or whatever and make him his slave so that he can go to England with him and have, I don't know, a slave with him or something. It's the only time in the movie where he goes after a man.
Yeah, it's usually women.
Yeah, it's usually women that he goes after.
He's the pimp of the undead.
Yeah, so
but I guess if he wants a man too, he go whatever. It's like.
I mean, some people say stuff about it being like gay and stuff, but I don't know. He's just he's sucking the blood. I think it's about him wanting to have a slave to do what he needs the slave to do, not about like being gay or anything.
Yeah, and I think it's also about like the women in that shot. He's just kind of like saying you can't have them because it's like they're like his wives in a way. He doesn't want them with another man. He'd rather have the man than have them have him. So,
Oh, by the way, this shot right here is from another movie. I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but that's why it looks the way it does. It's from an old Universal movie, and they took the footage from it from, I think, a silent movie. So the speed of the film is different, and that's why that ship shot looks the way it does. It doesn't go along with the rest of the footage.
Yeah, it is a very interesting scene. It's kind of like a documentary almost, which kind of makes it... Sometimes the movie is a little jumpy. It seems like a patchwork.
The movie was called The Stormbreaker, and it was from 1925.
Yeah.
That's why silent film runs at 18 frames per second, and 35 millimeter films run at 24 frames per second. So that's why there's a difference there.
Yeah. If you read the novel like is sort of like written by like a bunch of different people. Like you're reading like letters and like journal entries and diaries and stuff like that. So I almost feel like when you're watching the movie here, and then all of a sudden it kind of has this weird jumpy like quality where like you're watching like what looks like stock footage because it's from that other movie.
Yeah, pretty much is.
I feel like it kind of goes along with the novel in a weird kind of way because you're looking at it from all these different perspectives,
Well, you think if they were only paying Bela Lugosi $500 a week, that they could have like afforded, since they were only paying him $500 a week, to like have some extra money to be able to like go out and film on a real boat. But I guess this was during the Depression, so they were really strapped for cash, so they had to do stuff like that. They couldn't film whole scenes on a boat. Anyway, this is a great scene coming up with Dwight Fry.
Yeah, Dwight Fry is awesome as Renfield.
Actually, Todd Browning wanted Lon Chaney originally for the part of Dracula.
Yeah, Lon Chaney
But when Chaney died, they had to find another actor, and Lugosi wasn't actually the studio's first choice. But Lugosi fought pretty hard to get the part. You would think that he would be a natural, but he actually had to fight to get this part. And so the reason he got the part, I think, is because he agreed to be paid a very small salary. Anyway, here's one of the funniest parts, that crazy laugh.
Dwight Fry's in a lot of Universal monster movies. He's in just about all the Frankenstein movies. He plays the hunchback assistant Fritz in Frankenstein.
Right.
And then he appears as a different character in all the sequels. He's always somebody different.
Yeah, Fritz. And Lugosi is the one who played Igor. A lot of people get that confused. Igor is actually from Son of Frankenstein, and Fritz was played by Dwight Fry in the original Frankenstein, so that's a common misconception.
Yeah, basically it all comes down to Lugosi. The Igor everybody thinks is actually Lugosi, and the Frankenstein that most people imitate is the Lugosi Frankenstein monster.
Mm-hmm.
In Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, Bela Lugosi plays the Frankenstein monster, and he's supposed to be blind because he has Igor's brain in that movie, but they cut out all the monster's talking scenes, and you see him walking around with his arms outstretched like he's blind, but with no explanation, and that's the one that people always imitate. So Lugosi, that's three roles right there that he,
Yeah, Dracula, Frankenstein,
Igor, and Frankenstein.
Igor. And sometimes you see cars in this, so I kind of wonder like when this movie is supposed to take place. Like, is this supposed to be like? I guess it's supposed to be like the 30s, right?
Maybe the 20s. Or wait a minute. Did they actually?
Yeah, at some point you actually see cars.
You do see it. So
you see cars go by.
Yeah, I kind of missed it there, but this movie's kind of about an outsider in a way. It's like Dracula's this weird, eccentric guy who wants to move to London for fresh blood. I mean, he's a stalker. He's a pervert. But it's like after he moves from Transylvania, he's never out of place. Like pretty soon, you're going to see him go into this play that's going on, and he really holds power over all the other characters. Like nobody thinks of him as being weird anymore. Like he's only weird when he wants to be weird.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like, you know.
This is the only part of the movie where Lugosi's got that top hat on, and you always see that famous image of Lon Chaney from London After Midnight, and he's got the top hat on. So you have to assume that from that photo, maybe that photo is like that's the part of the movie in London After Midnight that I guess that photo is taken from. You know what I mean? It's probably this part.
I mean, I haven't seen. London After Midnight is actually like Mark of the Vampire was a remake of London After Midnight, so it's a completely different like story and everything.
Well, I haven't seen London After Midnight.
yeah.
So I'm not too sure.
There is a script, and actually there's a photo.
There's like they compiled it together or something. I haven't actually watched that, so I don't know.
It's like a detective story. But anyway, this scene right here is actually at the famous Phantom stage, which is one of the oldest surviving film sets. It's stage 28 at Universal, and they used it for the 1925 Phantom of the Opera and the 1943 remake.
That music that you hear when they come in is like really that overly beautifully orchestrated, like musical, memorable, like score. The kind of music they would use in like Flash Gordon and stuff like that back in the day. And the only times, like, I think that's something that's lacking today a lot of times is big scores like that. I mean, movies like Star Wars and Indiana Jones have those kind of big epic themes, but this movie definitely uses those big epics kind of music. I really like that they use that kind of music. Here's a scene where Dracula hypnotizes somebody. He's always going around hypnotizing people in this.
Yeah, it's like until he meets his match, which is Van Helsing. It's like he right now everybody else is just screwed. It's like whatever Dracula wants, everything is going his way in this movie up to this point. And like it's funny how he seduces all the women, but he's like so weird. He's just like a nut bar. Lugosi never wanted to be a villain. He wanted to be like the suave hero. But he like just accepted this Dracula thing that happened to him, and he lived his life with it, with being typecast. And
he's probably the most typecast person in history.
Yeah,
seriously, because all he ever was able to do was like horror roles after this.
Took it to the grave very literally because he was buried in the Dracula cape.
They buried him in the cape.
Yeah, which was wasn't his own request, but his family decided that it would be appropriate, and that because he accepted it, he kind of like liked the Dracula role. It was something cool that happened.
Well, he had a picture of himself, I think, as Dracula hanging up in his house.
Yeah,
I believe there's a story.
I heard of that. Yeah, so, it's in Ed Wood, but
that's that in Ed Wood.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's probably true then. I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, we do know that Ed Wood isn't all fact.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he liked this role, I think, for the power Dracula had over women.
Mm-hmm.
But after this movie, he mostly got shitty roles. I mean, there were definitely some good Lugosi roles. And if you've seen him as Igor in Son of Frankenstein, he's fantastic.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite role with him.
Yeah.
This whole scene that's going on here is like a really strange encounter because basically Dracula's telling these girls that he's moving into like a complete shithole next door.
Yeah.
That's full of like rats and it's falling apart. And usually you would think like a girl would be disgusted by this, but actually this actress just seems to like be turned on. They find him to be like this mysterious, like interesting guy, and he tells her about this crap hole he's living in, and she's like she spouts out like this story about the dead, and you look at Lugosi's expression and he's just like completely like nuts. He gives him like this crazy look. And they don't seem to be bothered at all. And he's saying things like, to be dead, to be really dead, that must be glorious. Yeah. And they're like, not, like, what the fuck is he talking about? To be dead. Like, if you were a chick, like, would you be like, what?
Really, like...
They're like, ooh, who's this sexy, like mysterious guy? And he's standing there like, to be dead is glorious,
I mean, he's being imitated already, like, in the movie itself.
Yeah, they're like imitating him. They're like doing his voice. So even like right in the movie itself, they even knew that like the way he spoke was Just ridiculous, I guess. Oh, by the way, I like the lighting here. That kind of looks like a bat in the background on the wall.
Yeah.
Obviously very fitting. It's one of those outdoor shots, I think, was used in the Spanish version. Might have been. I think
That's
it was
true.
I think it was this shot or something, but it was like a further away angle or something
Yeah,
like
they
that.
had another like shot of Lugosi.
Yeah.
And they used that in the place of Carlos Villarreal.
Yeah, so Lugosi is actually in the Spanish version, but you can't tell it's Lugosi because it's so far away.
Yeah, which is funny. Yeah, and you never see. I think this is there he goes the bat there. He's about to take a victim here.
Right.
But you never do see Dracula's fangs. And
No.
it's funny how, like, in the Wolfman, you never see a shot of the full moon, and you never see the Wolfman actually transform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least you never see him, his face. You see him transform into a wolf. You see, like, his feet at times. Other times you see him turn back into a wolf. But it's funny how the cliches that you mostly hold in your head don't actually happen in the movies. Like, he never says, "I'm going to suck your blood."
Right.
You
never see Dracula in this movie turn into you never actually see him turn from a bat into a person. Like right there, it just happened, but they cut away. They don't actually show it, but they actually do show it in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
That's true.
They actually show the transformation, and it looks really cool.
And in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, Dracula also casts a reflection in the mirror, which isn't supposed to happen.
Right.
Which is a big scene people talk about. I always thought, what's up with these people in the background? Like all those people sitting there. They're like, I always thought they were fake because they're like none of them are moving at all. But then you do see some subtle movements in the next shot.
No, I think they're really there. I just saw a guy move
Yeah,
over the right
barely.
Yeah, just barely. So it's a real. It's not like it's not like composited together or anything.
Yeah.
They're real people.
It's just so weird that they're so still, and each of them is in kind of like a pose.
Well, they're listening. They're students and they're listening. Maybe they'll get in trouble if if they
get in trouble
do
if
anything.
they move. But they're all in like such awkward positions. They're like kind of slumped over. They're like leaning on one elbow.
Like why aren't they? Like look at that one guy. He looks like he's falling asleep.
Second to the right.
Yeah.
And now we're in the sewage sanitarium. And that's some more moving camera shots here.
It's widely rumored that Lugosi turned down the role as the monster in Frankenstein, but it was the role in Frankenstein is a non-speaking part, and it seems unlikely to me that most of Lugosi's roles up to that point were in silent pictures.
Yeah.
So if anything, I would think that like Frankenstein is a very visual kind of role. I would think that
because
Lugosi would have wanted to do
up. Like I think
you think that was the reason?
Like makeup on his face. He wanted to be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it. Yeah, but I have heard stories about how I've heard stories that he actually recommended Karloff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lugosi created his own monster.
Well, either way, Lugosi did get to play Frankenstein's monster in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
One of the things in the novel, I read the novel many, many years ago. It was like I was quite young when I read it, but from memory, Renfield was actually trying to feed. He's trying to feed a fly to a spider, and then a spider to a dove or something, and then he's trying to feed that to a cat. So he's trying to make like a chain, almost like a food chain. So in this movie, they don't really explain that, but they do sort of mention it right there. Like he's interested in spiders when before he was interested in flies.
Here's Edward Van Sloan, by the way.
Yeah,
just made his introduction here, and of course they have him with the beakers and the scientist outfit. It's very, very cliched. Obviously, you know right from the bat. You don't need to know anything about him. Obviously, he's a scientist.
He was also in the play with Lugosi.
That's
in the
right.
Broadway
That's
show.
right.
Yeah. So Van Sloan and Lugosi worked together. Now, I mean, Van Sloan's acting is kind of criticized, and he isn't very good in this movie, really. Like, everything he says is very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he really, he's kind of baby talking to everybody in the movie, like teaching them about vampires. But in the sequel, Dracula's Daughter, Edward Van Sloan is actually much better. I almost said Edward Van Helsing.
He's also in The Mummy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in The Mummy, and another thing about The Mummy that I noticed when I was really young was that the Mummy came after Dracula, and that like copied a lot of the scenes from it. It there's scenes where like Edward Van Sloan basically plays the same kind of character. He's like the hero who figures out that the mummy is a mummy, because the mummy doesn't go around in the bandages. It's kind of like he's also disguised, like the same way in this movie. They don't know that Dracula's a vampire. They don't know that Karloff is the mummy, and Edward Van Sloan's the one who finds it out. But then I also saw on the DVD, on the Legacy Collection, they also make that comparison, which confirms it. And they actually show a lot of scenes like cut back to back and compare them.
Now, one of the things I don't like about this movie is actually this character, Dr. Seward. I think he's just... I mostly like this movie, but there's just a couple little things that I don't like about it.
Yeah.
And I think that this guy, like, really adds, like, nothing to this movie. I think he's just kind of like a character that's there to kind of... They need somebody there so Van Helsing can explain, like, the things about the vampires to the audience.
Yeah.
So he's basically speaking to the audience. So, you know, Dr. Seward is kind of just, like... a nothing kind of character.
Yeah, in the movie, it's more about Van Helsing. In the novel, actually, Dr. Seward was in more of it than Van Helsing, almost, I think.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. That's, like, the one thing I don't like, is they kind of just have him... He just kind of sits there and doesn't do anything, you know?
Like, I feel like they could have left him... Like, they left Quincy Morris out of the movie. They could have left Dr. Seward out, too.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's just a device. He's just a device here to explain, like, the vampire stuff to the audience. Yeah.
One interesting thing about Dwight Fry that I've heard is that he worked as a tool designer for aircrafts in World War II. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting. I didn't know
this nutcase worked on...
Well, he is an actor, James. But that's how good of an actor he is that you think that he's really a nutcase.
Yeah, but he actually
That's a scary thought to think that he was working on that kind of stuff.
It's like...
Oh, by the way, this shot right here, okay, like why couldn't they show Lugosi coming out of the casket here? Why did they have to go to the window and then go back to him?
And that's something you see in the Spanish version.
Exactly. There's a good reason like why the Spanish version is better. And they show this shot again, by the way, later in the film. The same exact shot.
That's true, yeah.
It's a shot that's used twice. And it's a crappy shot because they didn't even... It's not even a good shot that they used twice because they couldn't even have him rise. Even in Nosferatu, he rises from the fucking coffin. You know, why couldn't they do that? Just put a board underneath him and have two guys like lift him up. I just don't get that.
Dracula's Daughter was a pretty good sequel, actually. Even though there is no true sequel to Dracula, because for one thing, Dracula's not in the sequels. Son of Dracula has Count Alucard, but at the end he reveals that he actually is Dracula, who was using the name Alucard as like a, disguise or whatever. But the movie's called Son of Dracula, so isn't it his son? Played by Lon Chaney Jr., by the way. Then there's House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, which both had John Carradine in as the role of Dracula.
Here's the first time you see the Wolfsbane. There's always like character traits we know about different monsters. Like the Wolfman's killed by a silver bullet, and Frankenstein doesn't like fire. Some more modern examples are like don't feed a gremlin after midnight, and Indiana Jones hates snakes. Yeah. And these are all things that like we come to expect. And sometimes like if they make sequels, we get disappointed if like a favorite character trait is like left out. You know what I mean? I remember being upset because in the Mr. Bean movie there was a part where they didn't use like his Austin Mini, So you have to be careful with these like character traits.
Mr. Bean gets mentioned. Where are we going to go next?
Yeah, really.
I always felt that they have too many ways to kill a vampire. Like it's just there's the cross, there's like the garlic
that's another thing. They don't even use garlic in this movie. That's why they use the wolf. Maybe they thought garlic was too ridiculous or something. Like, ooh, he's gonna get the garlic, They do use the garlic in the Monster Squad though. Like the fat kid, I forget his name, puts the pizza with the garlic on it on Dracula's face. Like burns his face.
That's a good movie.
Which you can also see in Monster Madness. We've done a review on that.
Oh, and in the Hammer films, they even say that running water can kill a vampire. It's like, come on, if water can kill a vampire, they're pretty much...
Which one did they say that in?
Dracula, Prince of Darkness. That's how they kill him. under the ice.
right.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we got sunlight, water. Those are two things that are...
Yeah, sunlight and water.
Then garlic, wolfbane, and... Am I missing? Oh, crosses. They don't like that. Like, that's 5 things right there that they don't like or that kill them. It's just like, there's too many rules with vampires, and that's why the movies have to always change and, make up their own.
That was the infamous piece of cardboard on the lamp right there.
Yeah, you see at the bottom right, the cardboard?
Like, was that a mistake or was it intentional, do you think?
I mean, it looks so obvious, but...
They had, like, how could they not have seen that? Because you see the cardboard on there, like 10 times in this movie or something. Like, they had to have, like, I could buy that they missed it once or twice, but, like, it's in, like, 20 different shots, so they had to have definitely, like, known it was there, as far as unless they're just, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe back then people didn't care or something. I don't know.
Frankenstein, by the way, also has its own share of blunders. Like, there's an operating room scene where the sheet falls off the body and, like, revealing, like, a shoe. But, it's possible that the cardboard is supposed to be there in that shot. I don't know. Maybe the cardboard blocks the light so she can, like, go to sleep, Mina. So that the nurse can, like, walk around. So there's enough, like, light in the room so the nurse can walk around. I don't know. Now I'm thinking too much about it.
For some reason, I always felt like... I like this living room for some reason. It feels that anybody can just walk in there. Because you see, like, Dracula comes in.
Right, he just walks in. Like, how about, like, ringing the doorbell or anything,
Yeah, it's like, I don't know where... Like, it just seems like...
Like, Renfield, like, later is, like, supposed to be all, like, tied up or like, in his room. And he just keeps coming. He just, like, keeps walking in.
Yeah, he just keeps walking. It's like,
he's supposed to be, like, chained up and stuff.
Renfield, weren't you supposed to be in your jail cell or whatever?
That's Helen Chandler, and she was an alcoholic and a drug addict.
No, I never heard that.
Yeah, and she spent some time in a crazy house, in a nut house.
Really?
She was married to the guy who wrote Forbidden Planet, and he was also... then she married some guy who was in The Mummy or something. Yeah. Some background on her if you needed to know.
Yeah, as some other supplements where you can get a lot of info on this... on the DVD, if you have the Legacy Collection, it has a commentary by a film historian, David J. Skaw, and it's really good. It's a really good informative commentary, and there's a book, Universal Horrors, which is by Tom Weaver, Michael Brunis, and John Brunis, which is a great book about all the Universal monster movies. I mean, they do express a lot of opinions in that movie, and they do cite that Dracula is very flawed, so, I mean, you have to take opinions for what they are. But they seem to have had a, like, backlash or something, I don't know, from, like, really hardcore Lugosi fans or something, because they constantly refer to Lugosi fans in the book. Like, they say things like, oh, these flaws are so self-evident that only Lugosi freaks and the nostalgically inclined defend it. So I don't know what their deal is with all that, but, there are flaws in the movie, but... Lugosi is not one of them for me.
Yeah, not for me either. I think he's great. When Lugosi came to the States, he had to learn the English language, and he came to the United States in 1921, and this movie came out in 1931, so that was an entire decade he had living in the United States, and he knew the language by this point, but no matter what film he was in, he always had that, like, thick accent, like in The Phantom of Creeps or something, you can always just... hear that thick Lugosi accent. So when you see him in other movies, it's really hard to think of him as anything else but Dracula. But,
Personally, I think my favorite role that Lugosi played was Dr. Valen in The Raven.
That was great. That's one of my favorites, absolutely.
He is just nuts in that
That's
movie.
one example of what I would definitely say. You know what? Anybody who says something about, I love Karloff. I have to say I love Karloff. But that's one occasion where I think Lugosi shows that he could be a better actor, or at least on par with Karloff.
Yeah, I mean, there are movies where they have Karloff and Lugosi in it, where Karloff upstages Lugosi.
Absolutely.
But there's also times where Lugosi upstages Karloff.
They both had their good movies and their bad movies.
Yeah. And I think if you want to see a bad movie with Lugosi, like one where he's just complete shit in it, is if you watch either The Black Cat, not The Black Cat with Karloff, the 1934. There's a 1940s. It's in the 40s, and which is also called The Black Cat, but it's a different movie, and that has Lugosi in it, and he's in a very bad role. And there's also a movie called The Night Monster, and that's also Universal.
Mm-hmm.
And Lugosi is very bad in that one as
You
well.
know that Val Lewton box set? There's that movie. It's like a war movie with Karloff in it.
Oh, Isle of the Dead?
Isle of the Dead. Personally, I saw that. I fell asleep during that movie. I thought it was terrible.
Oh, yeah?
I love Karloff, but that movie, I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
What did you? Have you seen that movie or no?
I've seen it once.
Yeah,
and
I did
I'll
not care
admit,
for that movie.
Yeah, I'll admit it wasn't one of my favorites, but I do plan to see it again sometime.
Yeah.
Um,
My point to saying that is that they both have their ups and downs. But they're both great. I love Karloff and I love Lugosi.
So this right here is where Lugosi or Dracula meets his match with the mirror.
Yeah, that's right.
I always hated that outfit that David Manners has on right now. That's the Jonathan Harker.
You know the Bram Stoker Dracula, where Dracula comes up. He's like the old man, and he comes up to him with the shaving thing, and he goes to like shave his neck. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's what that scene is. They see the mirror reflection in that. That's what that scene is in comparison.
Yeah, right.
It's a completely different way to do the mirror scene,
Mm-hmm.
but that is from the book.
Oh, and if you watch the Spanish version in this scene, Carlos Villarreal, he goes crazy.
Yeah.
Like the look on his face when he looks at the mirror.
He shatters the mirror with a cane or something.
Yeah, he doesn't just knock it out of his hand. He shatters it.
Mirrors have been an important part of horror films. It's even gone back to the Thomas Edison version in Frankenstein 1910.
Oh, yeah. 1910 Frankenstein.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the part, though, where in the Spanish version, where he smashes the mirror. Yeah. And the part where Lugosi smashes the mirror is good, too.
I love that look right there.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know what? It's on now. It's like now they're...
Okay, he's like, yeah, you know who I am? Yeah, all right, fuck you. You're like, it's on now.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get it now. I'm going to turn into a freaking wolf. I'm going to...
Yeah, he does. They say they see the wolf running across the lawn, which is another thing that a lot of people forget, that Dracula could turn into a wolf. He could turn to a mist.
He can do anything. In the Bram Stoker version, he turns into a bunch of rats, I believe, at one point, and then breaks apart.
Oh, yeah,
He can basically turn into anything, I guess. Any kind of animal.
I think we talked about Lon Chaney Sr. a little already. Lon Chaney Sr. originally, he was going to play Dracula in this movie, but he died of throat cancer. And his last film was the 1930 remake of The Unholy Three, which was his only sound movie. So he died he went out with the coming of sound, so he didn't become the man of 1,000 voices as he had with Man of 1,000 Faces.
Right.
But he did play the vampire-like character in London After Midnight, which actually he was a detective in that movie, but he disguised himself as a vampire, where he has the top hat and the teeth and everything. And that movie was directed by Todd Browning, who directed Dracula, and then Todd Browning also directed Mark of the Vampire, which had Lugosi in it again. Which is kind of cool, except Lugosi's not in Mark of the Vampire that much.
Right.
And there is some disappointing things about it.
When I saw that, it seems like he only filmed that in one day, because you see like it'll be just like one or two shots of Lugosi just like standing there or coming in or something. He must have seriously filmed that. You know, they just did his parts in like one day or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows?
That's a great movie, though. Actually, I really enjoy that movie, Mark of the Vampire. I would definitely recommend seeing that as well. If you end up liking Dracula and you watch it, then if you want to see more movies where Lugosi plays a vampire, I'd say Return of the Vampire, Mark of the Vampire, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein are the other ones where he plays. And Plan 9 from Outer Space, I guess, if you want to count that.
Return of the Vampire has one of the greatest cemetery shots I've ever seen, with like lots of fog, and there's also a werewolf in that movie.
That's a great movie. Yeah, I mean, how often do you get a werewolf and a Dracula, basically, in the same... I don't think he's Dracula in the movie, but he's...
Yeah, he's a vampire.
He's a vampire, right. Return of the Mac.
And this is another scene where Dwight Fry comes in and just walks into the scene and steals the scene. You know,
exactly.
They call him Man with the 1,000-watt stare. Is that a great name?
I didn't know that. Yeah, this is the part where he says, "Dracula, I've never heard the name." That's actually probably, I think, the funniest part of the entire movie. I remember seeing that in the theater, and everybody just started like cracking up, like laughing, because it's like the way he delivers the line is great, because he obviously knows who Dracula is. It's like,
yeah,
you know,
gee,
like
right
that was really
there
convincing. Yeah. Yeah, it's if you really like never heard someone's name before, you'd probably just respond like, you know, I don't know, or no. But he's like, Dracula, Dracula, who's that? I never heard of him. You know, it's like obviously freaking heard of him.
Yeah,
that's great. I love that part. That and the part where he's like laughing in the boat are probably, I think, two funniest parts of the movie.
This is one of the best scenes here.
Yeah, and by the way, this lady is actually miscredited in the titles.
She's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, this is the maid.
But here we go. He designed aircrafts in World War II.
Yeah, but this is the maid.
Yeah.
And her real name is Carol Moon.
So he's crawling toward her, and then it cuts away, so you never see what happens. If you watch the Spanish version, he grabs at the air like he just caught a fly.
Yeah.
So I guess he was like, he wasn't after the maid, he was after an invisible fly or something.
That Renfield is great too, by the way.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, both movies have great Renfields and Draculas. If you've seen Ed Wood, you'll know that Lugosi was addicted to drugs. But a bit of background on that, Lugosi was in the war, and he had a few injuries. And because of this, he later developed back problems, which he needed medication for. But over time, he became addicted to these medications. So it wasn't just that he was like some crazy nutball snorting cocaine in the back room for like laughs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was a good reason. And later he was admitted to a hospital where he was treated for his addiction. So, you know, don't think that he was just like a drug addict for no reason.
Yeah, and his later movies with Ed Wood, like he was in Glen or Glenda, Bride of the Monster, and Plan 9 from Outer Space. I mean, Ed Wood and Lugosi were really good friends, and Ed Wood gave him something to do in his last days, you know.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have been doing anything.
Yeah,
probably.
But his son, Bela Lugosi Jr., always says that Ed Wood exploited his father, and like, you know, that he feels bad to see his dad in those movies. But I don't think it was like that at all. I mean, I don't know, but like most people seem to agree that
I could see thinking that, because like he would top bill like, oh, Lugosi is like in this movie, like, yeah, but at the same time, he's given Lugosi, whose career was in the fucking shitter, he's given him these roles and given him, you know,
he was trying to give him something.
He's trying to give him work, and you know.
And at that time, the studio like forgot about him, and like, you know, he made all those great movies, and now like they just give him the shitty end of the stick.
Yeah. By the way, this one shot lasts for 3 minutes. This is the longest shot in the movie.
Is this one right here?
Yeah.
Is that like a shopping cart he's sitting in? Like,
yeah, really. This is supposedly due to the studio wanting to speed along production.
Wait, it is. It's like a shopping cart with a Dixie cup on the bottom of it.
Where do you see a Dixie cup?
Like right there.
I see.
Nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. So
it's like the bottom part of the chair or whatever he's talking about. That's funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but instead of like breaking this shot up like they should have done, I think they just did it all in one shot so they could like, you know, speed along production.
A lot of times it was that you know, early talkie, like silent film. You know, early days of film in general, they would always film it more like a stage angle, because that was the way people were used to in the theaters. Until they start, you know, people like Carl Freund would start moving the camera around and saying, hey, we could do this too. You know, it's a different medium.
You know, were actually 3 versions of this movie. The
Oh,
English
that, yeah.
version, the Spanish version, and yet another silent version which had subtitles, which was released to the theaters, which did not yet have the
Hmm.
capability of sound.
And I guess they probably just translated that silent version. They probably made a Spanish subtitled one of that,
Right,
and like,
right. So there could even be 4 versions, right? If I'm not sure about that though.
yeah, or however many times they translate it. Like, there's probably a German one and probably a, you know,
And
German.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, but Bela Lugosi supposedly felt that his portrayal of Dracula overshadowed the character from the book, and that like his version of Dracula was the definitive version of Dracula. So supposedly he had a
A
pretty
lot
big
of
ego.
ego.
I mean,
Yeah.
he did have that picture hanging in his house, you know, of himself on the
Yeah.
wall. So you know.
And most people would, would say, "Oh yeah, the Bela Lugosi one is the one I'm familiar with," you know.
And you know this guy here
But
who plays Jonathan Harker, David Manners. He said that he's never even actually watched this movie. Like he felt like it was beneath him or something. He probably like wanted to be like the next Clark Gable or something like that, and he seemed to be like really like resentful that he was like even in this movie. And he lived for 67 years after this movie was made. And personally, I sincerely doubt that he never bothered to actually watch this movie. Like, give me a break. He never watched it, you know? Like, this is the movie he was, like, famous for, pretty much. And he was just pissed, basically, I think, that this was the only thing that people wanted to talk about. People at conventions and stuff like that would come up to him and be like, you know, talking to him about Dracula. And he wanted, you know, he was probably hoping that they would mention some of the other movies he was in. So I think that you can kind of tell by his performance too that he didn't want to be in the movie because he's another kind of character. At least I personally feel. I don't know how you feel, but I feel he's the other character
hmm
that kind of adds nothing to this movie for me,
yeah,
or very
it
little.
would be interesting. Like, that's the other shot you're talking about, but it would be interesting to think, like, what would the movie have been like if Jonathan Harker had actually gone to the castle in the
Right,
beginning and
right.
like, you know, and then
Maybe that's the problem is that they gave all those parts. And by the way, this is the same shot over
yeah.
again that they used twice.
I thought there was like a weird tag on that crate. Like, I guess
That's the shipping tag to go to
yeah,
from
like
Transylvania
when he had
to
three boxes or whatever.
yeah.
What I really like about this movie overall, like, I mean, yeah, there's some funny things, and we like Lugosi, and we talk about him all the time, but I think it's really that the movie has this lucid dream quality to it. That when you're watching the movie, you almost feel like you're sleepwalking. It's the kind of movie you have to watch late at night in the glow of the TV in a dark room. It just has this like very eerie atmosphere to it,
Oh, absolutely.
and it's unique. Like, even movies that try to do that don't succeed as much as Dracula,
Yeah, absolutely.
and it has a lot to do with its flaws. Like, if the flaws weren't there, like if there wasn't a lack of music and all these
Well,
weird
do you
edits
think that
and
the
like,
lack of music is a flaw?
no, it's not, but it obviously seemed like it wasn't that intentional. Like, they didn't really say like, we're gonna not have music to make it creepy. They didn't have music just because they didn't like think to have it, because it was like
It was more accepted
early,
back
like,
then because it was coming right off of the
yeah,
silent era.
like even Frankenstein, which was the next movie. That one doesn't have any music, but there's a lot of noise in that one too. It's
He's out. He's out again.
yeah, Frankenstein's got a lot of thunder in the background. And yeah, this is another scene. I mean, the way he's walking right now is like
Why is it Renfield
very.
is always allowed to just keep walking around the house? I guess the idea is that Dracula keeps like untying him, like Dracula come in the window and untie him. I don't like. Isn't there anywhere one
Like,
there to
again,
like sit
he's
and like
go-
watch him?
they're sitting watching him, but they're not watching him.
Yeah,
Like-
they're
like
talking to each other. He's like on the phone and shit. Like, why isn't he standing there like watching the cell?
Yeah.
You would
In
think
the,
you would think they got like a being that can turn into bats and shit. They would be taking this a little more
Yeah.
seriously. He's like, oh, I'm talking on the telephone. Blah, blah, blah.
In the Spanish version, you see the bars bended, that he actually like broke his way out. And look at this.
This is one of the best speeches in the movie here.
Yeah, it's like you can see the fire he's talking about, and it's like this is a movie that's very like black and white, and it's like you see color in this scene almost when he talks about the
The
fire and
red,
like
the
the red.
rats, their eyes.
Yeah, like when you think Dracula, you think blood, you think red,
Mm-hmm.
and the novel is very gory. Like I almost feel like the pages of the novel itself are just dripping with blood because it's just the way the novel describes stuff. It's like almost disgusting at times. But the movie, you know, you kind of have to imagine that part of it.
Well, because of budget cuts, this is a part that they didn't film, or they didn't actually show, like the rats. And they also had that whole
Yeah.
issue with not being able to show rats. So I guess that's why they actually just had Renfield just speak about it. You know, he spoke the lines instead of actually showing the rats and all that. I'm glad it is the way it is though, because it's one of the best parts in the movie when he's talking about the rats. So I'm glad that they didn't actually film all the rats and the red eyes and all that. I think it's better the way it is. I'm sure it would have been good, like
Yeah.
either way, but I think it's, I don't know.
Hearing Dwight Fry say it
it's-
is like, you know.
Yeah, I can't imagine it any other way. I know what scene this is. This is one of the high points in the movie here for me. See,
And if you compare this with The Mummy, there is a scene where he confronts the mummy
right,
like this.
right. Now people say that like it goes downhill after those Transylvania scenes, but I think that this is another part of the movie where it kind of comes back up again.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely one of the best scenes in the movie.
You just had that great monologue by Dwight Fry, and now you got,
the classic confrontation between Dracula and Van Helsing. I like that there's no dialogue in the part where Dracula's like trying to pull Van Helsing towards him, and you can just see in Van Helsing that he's resisting like the urge because he has the mental power to be able to do it. Like everybody else that Dracula has used his hypnotizing powers on has just fallen under his spell, but not Van Helsing because I don't know, because he's Van Helsing, because he's strong enough to be able to resist Dracula.
That look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula, look at that.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's like this is like, I think this part's funny when he's just like, "Come here," because you would think he would say something a little more menacing than that. But no, he just says, "Come here. Come here. Get over here." What is he, like, Scorpion? Get over here.
Yeah, I have thought about that before.
Get over
when Mortal
here.
Kombat was out, I always used to think about Dracula.
Come here. Yeah, he's resisting the urge. Only Van Helsing. Only Van Helsing.
Yep.
And he's also, isn't he at the end of, oh no, he introduces Frankenstein, does he not?
He does, yeah. In the very beginning of Frankenstein, there's a scene of Edward Van Sloan where he's like warning the audience that it's going to be a very horrifying movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The cross. And there's a scene in Return of the Vampire where they use the cross on him too. And it's Lugosi again. But I think that's actually almost better because Lugosi explodes into like a cloud of smoke. It's a great scene. Another great movie.
And Peter Cushing was a great Van Helsing. He was in Horror of Dracula, and then he was in Brides of Dracula, which did not have Dracula in it. And then he was in Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires and Dracula AD 1972. I'm going by memory here.
And by the way, this is Joan Standing, by the way. This is the lady who's in the credits, who I mentioned in the very beginning. So they fucked up the credits, is what I'm trying to say.
And the other Cushing one was Satanic Rites of Dracula.
The dress she has on, you can see, is much less revealing than
Lupita Tovar.
Lupita Tovar in the Spanish version.
Yeah, it's just like the Spanish.
They were able to show rats,
less,
and they were able to like show breasts and
Yeah,
I mean they don't actually show nudity, but it's more revealing.
The Spanish audience were much less uptight. It shows.
Yeah, you can the 1930s America, Depression. Everybody was worried about that kind of stuff. I guess once the '80s came along with Elvira, things kind of different by that point. With her, Elvira with her boobs hanging out.
Nobody has.
That shows you how things changed over the years. Just a little bit. I love that expression.
Vampira, but Elvira more.
Helen Chandler here, I think, is a pretty good actress. I do like her a lot. I think she does a pretty good vampire girl.
Yeah, and this scene coming up, you believe that she's kind of like, she's starting to have that kind of like hypnotic kind of, trance-like state.
Here's Van Helsing talking to Stewart again. A bunch of stuff to explain to the audience, basically.
I like Martin better than Dr. Stewart.
Yeah. Of course. Martin, I think, is great. I love Martin. He's one of my favorite characters, actually. He's funny.
Like the comic relief one.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Stewart really is just an empty void.
That's what I'm trying to say. Martin's funny, though.
Yeah.
Spiders again, is it? Flies?
Like I like in The Invisible Man, like the cops, it kind of reminds me of. And the bats are definitely very like comical and cheesy looking.
You can tell it's like on a string and stuff.
But I think it's even more comical in the Hammer films when they have like if you watch Scars of Dracula, the very first thing you see in the movie is like this very fake looking bat spitting blood. It's funny that a movie that much newer than this would still have a very cheap looking bat.
And I guess to some people. We're just going on and on about this, and it probably seems like we know so much about this, but I'm just wondering if like there's anybody.
Cardboard again.
Yeah, if anybody like who's even more of a horror junkie than we are knows who the guy is who controlled that bat on the string. There's probably somebody who knows that out there.
Maybe John P. Fulton, I think. Actually, maybe
somebody probably knows that.
Yeah, was he the special effects guy on this one? I would imagine. John Fulton was the special.
Oh, you know who it is?
Well, I'm only guessing because I'll tell you what. I got the DVD right here. Let me see if it says so anywhere. But John Fulton was a special effects guy on he'd do the Invisible Man or Frankenstein. Like he was responsible for a lot of the effects in the Universal movies. So if I was going to guess,
would that be considered an effect?
Well, I don't know. Well, he did like the like Frankenstein. It was like the lab and stuff. I guess he did like the props and like. No. Then again, there was a guy named John Hall who was like the set designer also. So I'm not sure exactly which. Like, but I think maybe some of the effects of like the electricity and like the sparks and all that may have been John Fulton. So, I don't know, but I'm looking on...
Oh, Dracula's also afraid of the cross, too. That was another thing. Not just, the garlic and all that. But they just showed a cross on the screen there.
At Universal Horrors right here, I can look at this. It's cool that, I'm actually looking at the beginning of this book. They have, like, some photos of, like, the back lot at Universal. And I remember... I visited Universal Studios in like 1995, and it was my first time ever going out there, going to California and everything. And I remember being so excited about, like, I wanted to see like any sets or anything that there was from these movies. And it's disappointing that there isn't really a lot that you can see. Like, it's not like you can actually see.
The castle isn't there or anything, right?
Yeah, there's nothing like that. But there's like a European town, like a set they have, and that is like. What they used for all the like exteriors in these movies.
Right.
But it's very hard if you're looking at a picture of that that set, which they mention on the backlot tour. That's what they say. This is where they shot the monster movies. But you try to compare it with the movies, and it's very hard to ever see anything that matches up because they change those sets around so many times. It's like it's really.
I think I know the part you're talking about though, with like the window.
Oh, like, the window.
On the backlot tour. There's Lugosi, by the way, and see how he doesn't blink?
Yeah, he never does.
Yeah, he never even blinks at any point in the movie.
Yeah, see if you could, if you watch the movie again, see if Bela Lugosi ever blinks.
Yeah, somebody needs to do that. If he blinks, let us know.
Yeah.
But I don't look at that. I definitely think he doesn't blink. I can imagine him on the back of the set. One of you cocksuckers, get me my eye drops.
Let's shoot this fucker.
Let's shoot this fucker. Karloff is a cocksucker.
I remember back when I started watching these movies and getting interested in them. I never heard anyone pronounce Bela Lugosi's name, so
I'm still not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but well, the first time he plays a character named Bela in The Wolfman, and it's spelled the same way, and they call him Bela, so I figured, well, okay, he's Bela Lugosi, but most people always say Bela Lugosi, so I've always found myself in that trap of saying Bela, but I believe it's wrong because I have a lot of Hungarian fans who have send me emails saying that I'm saying it wrong or whatever, and so I believe it is Bela, but I am not
Bela Lugosi. Yeah, I'm somebody who also says Bella, but
it's hard. Yeah, it's a trap that because everybody says Bella.
I always grew up. It's like Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden. I grew up always saying Bela Lugosi, and I grew up saying I grew up saying Ninja Gaiden. So, and then I found out later in life it was Ninja Gaiden, and then I found out just now that it's Bela.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a hard time
it's about
converting to Bela.
Jekyll and Jekyll.
Yeah, Jekyll and Jekyll, yeah.
And of course, Jonathan Harker and Van Helsing, which you don't see, but they put a stake through Lucy's heart because she's a vampire, and in the Mel Brooks parody, Dracula Dead and Loving It, there's like a whole fountain of blood shooting out of her, which I thought was hilarious. I mean, even though that's not a very good movie, that scene was very funny to me, you know.
And by the way, why would Dracula get pissed off that Renfield led them there?
Yeah, he's just strict. He's Dracula. You don't fuck around with him. It's like he doesn't take any shit.
Like they know that he lives in that abbey.
Yeah, they know he lives there, and plus it's, you know. And anyway, speaking of the abbey, let me hold that thought. There's actually something we should mention here is that originally the scream sound effects. There's two sound effects that were cut out of this movie. There's the scream when Dracula kills Renfield here, and then there's the scream you hear from Dracula when he's getting staked. And I guess they decided that was too violent or whatever, so they removed the screams from the movie. And at some time, I guess they restored it on the Laserdisc and on the VHS.
Yeah, this version we're watching right here actually doesn't have. Yeah, you would think this is supposed to be like the ultimate version, but it doesn't even have the screens.
Yeah, the DVD.
The commentary track has the screens.
Yeah. The DVD Legacy Collection does not restore the screams, so there's no screams.
Somebody screwed up.
If you turn on the commentary, you hear the screams in the background of the commentary track.
Yeah.
So, like, what went on here?
Somebody really screwed up.
I've heard that there's another DVD that has the screams, but it's just like, it's so ridiculous.
That was one of the screams right there, was Renfield screaming, and then there's another scream that's coming up in a little bit. And
which, if you're watching the Legacy Collection, you did not hear it.
Yeah, so maybe get the Laserdisc or something.
Yeah,
the VHS.
Yeah, the VHS. So never throw away your old things, or get the DVD that has it. I believe it's the
there's another version that has
the 75th anniversary or something.
Right, the 75th. I think they did.
You've heard of that one
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the best version to get, the 75th anniversary. Oh, by the way, you know what I find funny is that the Abbey basement that they're in right now, which is in London, looks exactly like the basement in Dracula's castle, which is in Transylvania.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like the same place they probably filmed, but it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, you know what I think is that, in a way, I almost feel like there were some missing scenes that we should have seen them go back to Transylvania. Yeah. Because in the novel, they go back to Transylvania at the end. Like, Dracula moves back. And here, he doesn't, but also you never see an exterior shot of Carfax Abbey. Although in the Spanish version, once again, you do see an exterior of the
Well, there was
Abbey.
a shot earlier where they were like...
Oh, if you count when they're outside and they're like going... Yeah, but in the Spanish version, you actually see the structure. Like, you see like a miniature of the the abbey. Another thing, they kill Dracula with a stake, and of course this is where you're gonna hear like the scream or not.
Right.
But which I thought was confusing because if you don't hear the scream, how are you supposed to know what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, what happens in the book?
Well, in the book, they're chasing Dracula back to Transylvania or whatever, and then he gets slashed through the neck and through the heart by the knives of Jonathan Harker and Quincy Morris. So Van Helsing in the book doesn't even kill Dracula. It's Jonathan Harker and Quincy Morris.
Right.
And it's not like, a stake or sunlight or anything like that. It's just like knives. So
right, which you do see in the Bram Stoker version.
Yeah, I think the Bram Stoker one is a lot closer to the novel, which what was the point.
Right. But it doesn't have Lugosi and a lot of the funny things.
No, it's got a silly hairdo, and it's got Christopher Reeve. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. I don't like that movie. Just to let I don't know. I don't particularly, even though it is close to the novel.
About it.
Yeah. Well, I personally don't really care for it.
I think visually it's great, but yeah, I mean I'm sure the same things.
It is closer to the book, and that's what's good about it. But overall, it's just I don't really care for it. It's not bad. It's whatever. Yeah, the stage play and the film originally ended with a speech by Edward Van Sloan stating, "There are such things," which frightened audiences into believing that this was all real, and reminds me of how there were actually like people jumping out of windows when Orson Welles did War of the Worlds on the radio. People were, I guess, just more gullible in those days and would believe things like that.
Yeah, and of course Ed Wood kind of repeated it in Plan 9. He's got Criswell making the speeches in the beginning and end.
Right.
And there we go. We got the bells. There was supposed to be like an alternate like track. There was a bit of music that doesn't exist on here, but I think there are some versions out there where you can find it actually. And that's the end.
It's a universal picture.
Yep. So there you go. I think it's a movie that I think to get the full effect, you gotta like watch it late at night by yourself sometime.
Yeah, I would actually say this is a movie that you gotta watch by yourself. Like, you turn the lights off. Like, just sit there and watch the whole thing by yourself. Hopefully, maybe it's raining out or something like that. Make a real creepy kind of atmosphere to kind of get you in the mood, because you really need to be in the mood, because it is a very silent kind of movie. And I could definitely understand watching the movie and if you're not in the mood to watch it, you might not enjoy it. But if you are in the mood and you watch it on the in the right mood, I think that this movie is one of the greats.
Yeah, and if you have enough interest to watch it again and again, it improves with repeated viewings. I always tend to notice something else, or it's just it's a good one. And it's the start of a great franchise of Universal monster movies. You got Frankenstein, you got The Mummy, you got all that.
Yeah, and by the way, that this movie was actually a big success in the theater. The studio was very apprehensive about whether or not they were going to, they didn't know if they wanted to make a horror movie or anything. They were very just, oh, we don't know, should we do a horror movie? And then they did it, and it was a huge success, and that's what spawned all the rest of these movies. Then they had Frankenstein, and then they had The Wolfman. But had it not been for Dracula, basically what I'm trying to say is, if this movie was a flop, all those classic monster movies probably never would have happened. So in a way, you can pretty much chalk up horror's existence on film to this movie. And whether or not you like this movie or not, whether or not you think, what you think about Bela Lugosi's acting and all that, this movie was a success, and it is very important to the horror genre.
Oh yeah, I mean, undoubtedly the historical significance is very high.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the first Universal horror.
No.
If you want to count like Phantom of the Opera, with Lon Chaney, 1925. There's that, and it's their horror genre really evolved too. It's interesting to see how they're like the 30s were, they were more quiet and they were creepy. But then in like the 40s, there was like more music, and there was like, they had to like make them more exciting. There's more action, like stuff blows up. There's like castles that crumble and laboratories that explode and fires, and you know, and then it kind of became about comedy because then World War II was going on, and people didn't find, this supernatural stuff as scary as they did earlier.
Right, because they had real life terrors going on.
Yeah.
The atomic bomb and the war and everything. So this kind of stuff wasn't,
Yeah.
I guess, quite as scary to people.
They played them for laughs, and they had, at the end of the 40s, there was the Abbott and Costello movies, and they had, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, Abbott and Costello meet the killer Boris Karloff, the Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They met the Mummy. It was it was a whole monster mash. I think when I first heard about these movies, it was kind of just like you'd see commercials on TV of like, Frankenberry, like the cereal, right? Count Chocula. Like you'd see references to these monsters a lot of places. Then eventually it's like you start to wonder where they came from.
I talked to Count Chocula on the telephone one time, but that's another story, and that's true. Maybe I'll tell that story someday.
You want to tell it now? Or?
Oh, what the hell. I'll try to make this short, but basically, I'm a Thunder...
Hey, if they listen this far...
Yeah,
through,
you might as well stick... If you're listening this far, I guess you're interested to listen to anything, so this is a pretty good story, though, I guess. I'll make it quick, though. Basically, I'm a Thundercats fan, or at least, I used to watch Thundercats in the 80s, and I went onto a Thundercats website, and I got the information. Somebody had interviewed the guy who did the voice of Lion-O from the Thundercats, and they had his email address at the bottom, so I put that into my instant messenger, and one day he popped up online, so I am the guy, and I said, hey, is this Lion-O? And make a long story short, I ended up talking to the guy on the telephone, and it turns out that he did a lot of like voices in cartoons and this kind of thing. He was a voice actor, and he did the Cocoa Puff Bird, Lion-O, and Count Chocula. So that's the point of the whole thing, is that I was on the phone with the guy, and he did, oh, I'm Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs, and the Count Chocula. So I've actually had a phone conversation with Count Chocula, which is quite odd. But anyway, so that just tells you the legacy this Dracula has had. It's just, and they're still making movies today. There's Twilight, and there's vampire movies will never end. It's just it's just endless.
You always change the rules with vampires and everything. So
let me ask you a question, James. Who is your favorite Dracula, and why? If you had to pick.
I mean, Lugosi.
Lugosi, it's not Christopher Lee?
I couldn't live without Christopher Lee either. Like, I need him too. And of course, Max Schreck in Nosferatu is great as well. I need them all in a way. I mean, I know it's definitely not like John Carradine. It's not like
Son of Dracula.
Oh, like Lon Chaney Jr., he wasn't really that great as Dracula either. Like, there's some people that just weren't right for it. I mean, I know some people, like Universal Horror says John Carradine's better than Christopher Lee and Lugosi, but I don't know.
Not Leslie Nielsen?
Leslie Nielsen, yeah. I mean, some people, John Carradine has an appeal, I guess. I'm trying to think, like, he's a more casual Dracula. Like, he fits in with society more. Like, he's wearing his top hat and he's going around and talking to people, and they don't know he's Dracula. Lugosi's kind of like if he was really here in real life, you'd know something was up with him because he's so fucking weird. But I think that John Carradine has no character at all. He's a very bland, a very boring Dracula. He looks ordinary, like he could be any of the other characters in the movie. How
about Christopher Lee?
Christopher Lee is great because he's the one who had the fangs, the blood. Christopher Lee was a more
adult,
scary,
kind of an adult, scary Dracula.
He was a scarier Dracula. He acted like an animal sometimes, and I also think it's really funny that that Christopher Lee basically rejected any lines that he didn't like. Like in Horror Dracula, I guess he was a little more humble at that time, and he probably stuck to the script more, I guess. But I think when Dracula Prince of Darkness came, he saw how ridiculous some of the dialogue was, and he was like, "I'm not going to say this." Yeah. So he didn't say anything. Dracula, Prince of Darkness, he's a mute Dracula the whole movie, and it's great. And then in Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, he says like 3 lines in the whole movie, and every time he does say something though, it's awesome. You know. They have destroyed my servant. They will be destroyed. And that's all you need to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. Well, thanks for listening.
Well, and, I hope you're interested enough, at least to watch the movie. If you made it all the way to the end of this commentary, I would hope that you would at least check the movie out. Not with our commentary, but watch the movie on your own sometime. And I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it.
Yep. Pleasant dreams. Beware of Dracula. And of Count Chocula. Because Count Chocula will rape your ass.
And the Count from Sesame Street.